Not every hill is worth dying on. Not every fire deserves your oxygen. Not every insult merits a response. And not every invitation is meant to be accepted, especially the ones that pull you into wars that steal your energy, hijack your purpose, and leave your soul exhausted for causes that have nothing to do with your destiny. In a world that screams for attention, that glorifies noise, that rewards outrage and confusion, the most powerful move you can make is restraint. The warrior who wins is not the one who fights the most. It's the one who chooses the battlefield with wisdom. Because energy is your most sacred currency. Not time, not money, energy. And if you spend it chasing ghosts, arguing with fools, proving points to people committed to misunderstanding you, you'll wake up one day with an empty soul, wondering why the fire went out. It didn't go out. You gave it away. Piece by piece. Argument by argument. Distraction by distraction. And all for what? To be right, to be liked, to defend a version of yourself that no longer even fits? You must understand, not every fight is your fight. Some are traps, designed to pull you off course, designed to keep you explaining instead of expanding, justifying instead of building, reacting instead of rising. This is the cost of growth. You will be misunderstood. You will be talked about. You will be questioned, judged, underestimated, and doubted. And you must learn to let that all pass through you like wind through branches. Because you are not here to win every argument. You are here to win your life. You are here to build something sacred. You are here to master your days, not waste them dancing with distractions disguised as battles. And that requires discipline. The discipline to stay focused when your ego screams for retaliation. The discipline to choose peace over pride. The discipline to walk away when you could easily destroy, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Because when you know who you are, you don't need to fight every time someone forgets. When you know where you're going, you don't stop for every barking dog along the way. When you know what you're building, you don't burn down your own house to prove a point to people passing by. Choose your battles wisely. Choose where your fire goes, because your fire is holy. It was meant to build, not to burn indiscriminately. And this is the beginning of mastery. Mastery over self. Mastery over emotion. Mastery over identity. Because the first battle you must win is the one inside. The battle between the reactive you and the reflective you. The battle between the old story and the new standard. The battle between the ego that needs to be seen and the purpose that needs to be protected. You see, most people aren't at war with others, they're at war with their own shadows, their own past, their own unresolved pain. And so they project, they lash out. They create conflict because inner peace feels too unfamiliar. But not you. You're done being a puppet of your triggers. You're done being a soldier for someone else's cause. You are no longer a volunteer in battles that leave you broken. You are a builder now. And builders do not waste bricks on battles. They construct. They elevate. They rise. So, step back. Not in retreat, but in strategy. Not because you can't fight, but because you're saving your fire for something far greater. For your mission. For your vision. For your next evolution. Because if you spend your life battling every critic, chasing every insult, responding to every dig, you'll never build what was meant to outlast you. Some mountains are not meant to be climbed. They are meant to be walked around. Some insults are not meant to be countered. They are meant to reveal who no longer deserves access to your energy. And some moments are not meant for war. They are meant for wisdom. You must see the long game, the legacy game. Because every time you choose peace over pettiness, you move closer to that legacy. Every time you guard your energy like a treasure, you move with more power. Every time you ask, will this matter in 5 years? And act accordingly, you elevate. And yes, you will lose some people, but you will find yourself. You will lose some applause, but you will gain your soul. You will lose some petty wins, but you will secure a life that cannot be shaken. So remember this: silence is not weakness. Walking away is not surrender. Restraint is not fear. It is power, the rarest kind. The kind of power that bends time, protects vision, multiplies energy, and commands respect, not through force, but through focus. Let the world be loud. Let the world be chaotic. You be precise. Be surgical with your yes. Be holy with your no. Be ruthless with your energy, because you are not here to fight every war. You are here to win the ones that matter. You are here to build a life that roars with quiet, unstoppable purpose. So when the next conflict knocks, ask yourself, is this a war that leads me closer to the person I'm becoming? Or is it just another trap trying to bait me back into a version of myself I've already outgrown? Choose, not emotionally, strategically. Choose your battles wisely, because your future is what's at stake. And your future, your real future, the one you've tasted in your wildest moments of clarity, the one that keeps pulling you forward in quiet hours of solitude, that future is not built through scattered combat. It's built through concentrated force, through calculated effort, through deliberate living. It's not built through chasing every critic who misjudged you. It's built by becoming so undeniable, their voices fade beneath the weight of your progress. You don't need revenge. You need results. You don't need validation. You need vision. And the price of that vision is focus unshakable, unbroken focus. The kind of focus that walks past distractions like a general walking through a crowd, eyes locked, mission clear, time precious. You do not have the luxury of small battles anymore, because every fight you choose comes with a cost of peace, a cost of energy, a cost of alignment. You must guard your alignment like a king guards his crown, like a mother guards her child, like a fire guards its last spark on a cold mountain night. Because without alignment, you may be busy, but you'll be blind. Without alignment, you'll win battles that lead nowhere. You'll fight hard and wake up empty. So protect your clarity, protect your peace, protect your purpose. Because the cost of reacting to every insult, every disagreement, every digital jab is the life you were meant to build while you were distracted. Do you think destiny waits? Do you think your calling pauses while you go argue? No, it moves on. Opportunities pass. Energy drains. Seasons change. And some seasons won't come back. So you better move like it matters. You better filter your fire like it's sacred. You better remember that wisdom is not just what you know, it's what you ignore. Because the warrior who wins the war is not the one who fights the most. It's the one who chooses best, who fights when it's right, who fights when it's just, who fights when the cost of staying silent would be too high for the soul to bear. And when you fight like that, every punch has purpose. Every move builds momentum. Every decision compounds your legacy. This is what they don't teach in school. This is what the loud world forgets. That the most dangerous person in the room is not the one yelling. It's the one who chooses their moment. The one who doesn't blink. The one who doesn't chase, but calls. You are becoming that person. With every distraction you dismiss. With every petty conflict you walk past. With every moment you choose silence instead of spectacle. You are becoming a master of self. And when you master self, the world opens. Not because it's easier, but because you're clearer. Clarity is the gatekeeper of all power. And clarity only comes when you stop fighting every storm and start creating the weather. You must become the eye in the hurricane, the stillness in the chaos, the grounded force in a spinning world. Because while others burn out proving themselves, you will burn brighter building yourself. And in the end, when the noise is gone and the crowds forget, what will remain is what you built in silence. Your name, your work, your character, your essence. That's what outlives the moment. That's what echoes beyond this battle. So choose wisely. Fight well. Build relentlessly. And remember, not every battle needs your sword. Some just need your stillness. Stillness is not inaction. It is intention. It is the sacred pause before the strike, the breath before the breakthrough, the deep knowing that real power doesn't flinch, it calculates. Stillness is where kings are crowned in the shadows. It's where clarity sharpens its edge like a blade before the war. And you, in your stillness, in your silence, are not withdrawing, you are reloading. You are watching the battlefield not with fear, but with foresight. You are studying the patterns, mastering your emotions, understanding that one well-placed move can change everything more than 1,000 desperate ones. This is how leaders are born. Not from chaos, but from clarity within chaos. Not from noise, but from inner order. You must become a strategist in a world of reactors. Let others bark. Let them spiral, burn out, crash into every wall in sight. You will wait. You will watch. You will build quietly. Because the most lethal force in the world is a person with direction, moving with discipline, surrounded by silence, fueled by vision, and unbothered by the meaningless. And this is the battle you've already started to win. The battle between who you were and who you're meant to be. Because who you were wanted to fight everything. Who you were needed to be heard, needed to be validated, needed to be seen. But who you're becoming. They don't chase attention. They command it by presence alone. They don't need applause. They are driven by alignment. They don't fear silence. They wield it like a weapon. So yes, choose your battles wisely, not just the external ones, but the internal ones too. Choose when to speak and when to listen to yourself. Choose when to move and when to hold ground like a mountain. Choose what to fix and what to leave behind, because not every broken thing deserves repair. Some things were meant to fall apart so you could finally rise whole. Some relationships, some habits, some beliefs, they are not battles to win, they are weights to release. And when you let them go, you fly. You stop dragging the war into your future and start building the peace that your soul has been begging for. Because peace is not passive. Peace is power contained. Peace is knowing what you could destroy and choosing instead to create. Peace is the sound of a life built with wisdom. So, keep choosing wisely. Not just your battles, but your path, your people, your principles, your purpose. Because every choice is a brick. And every brick is a wall or a window, a prison or a platform. Choose bricks that build you. Choose bricks that elevate. Choose bricks that reflect the future you deserve, not the past you've escaped. You are not a fighter for the sake of fighting. You are a warrior for truth. And truth never screams. It stands. It endures. It outlasts. It rises long after the noise has faded. And that is what you are here to become. Not the loudest in the room, but the most unshakable, because the unshakable don't need to announce their strength. It's felt. It's seen in the steadiness of their choices, the patience in their silence, the conviction in their presence. They walk into chaos and don't absorb it, they correct it. They don't match the energy of a room, they set it. That's what you're building now, not just a moment of success, but a presence that commands time, that shifts space, that calms storms just by walking through them. You're learning what few ever master, that the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more anchors. And to be an anchor in this world of distraction, that takes a war you must win daily, the war with yourself. Because the greatest battle isn't out there. It's in your habits. It's in your thoughts. It's in your choices. It's in the hundreds of tiny moments when you could give in, speak out, fight back, but instead you choose differently. You choose mastery. You choose legacy. You choose to protect your energy, not with walls, but with wisdom. That's the new strength. Not force. Focus, not control. Clarity, not revenge. Restraint. The real victory isn't when you silence others. It's when you silence the parts of you that still feel the need to respond to everything. That's not weakness. That's not passivity. That's evolution. That's a human being who understands the power of selective fire, of choosing the one shot that matters and letting all the others pass. Because you've seen what happens when you waste your battles. You've watched months disappear in drama, watched energy evaporate in distractions, watched your joy get bartered away for temporary pride. Not anymore. You've learned. You've grown. You've risen. And now you build differently. You don't fight to be seen. You build to be remembered. You don't react for attention. You act with intention. You don't try to win arguments. You win futures. And the future you're building now, it's one you can stand on. It's one that echoes. It's one that decades from now will still speak your name, not because you fought everyone, but because you fought for what mattered. So the next time the world throws you a baited hook to argue, to prove, to justify, to defend, smile, step back, and remember, you don't have to attend every battle you're invited to. You're not here to waste your fire. You're here to light the path. And when you light the path, you don't just see for yourself, you become the light for others still wandering in the dark. That's the ultimate shift. From fighter to founder, from reactive to revolutionary, from trying to survive the noise to becoming the signal, the clear, unwavering signal in a world lost in distortion. Because now you understand every moment is a decision. Every breath you take, every word you speak, every battle you choose to fight or to walk away from is a brick in the cathedral of your life. So why waste even one moment building monuments to your ego when you were born to build temples of legacy? Why waste even one argument on someone who will forget your words when you could be speaking life into someone who will never forget your example? You must rise above. You must rise beyond. Because the world does not need more wounded warriors, it needs whole builders. And to be whole, you must reclaim your energy like it's gold, because it is. Your energy is the currency that buys your future. Don't spend it on broken opinions. Don't gamble it on shallow validation. Don't throw it away defending chapters of your life you've already outgrown. Let them misunderstand you. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Your job is not to change their mind, it's to change your life. You are not here to perform. You are here to transform. And transformation, real transformation, requires a level of self-respect that says, I don't lower myself to fight small wars anymore. I've outgrown that battlefield. I've graduated from that chaos. I've built too much peace inside to keep trading it for temporary victories outside. This is what choosing your battles wisely really means. It means being so devoted to your purpose that nothing can pull you out of alignment. It means waking up every day and asking, does this move me closer to the person I vowed to become? And if the answer is no, you walk away without guilt, without explanation, without hesitation. Because your yes means nothing unless your no has weight. And now your no is sacred. Your focus is sacred. Your time, your energy, your mission, all sacred. And you don't throw what's sacred into the mud just to win an argument. You don't put your crown down just to clap back. You don't pause your purpose just to prove a point. Because now, you're not just building a career, you're building a code, a way of living that demands discipline, integrity, and relentless elevation. And the more you live by that code, the more battles simply dissolve. Because when you rise high enough, most of what once triggered you becomes too small to reach you. Not because you're avoiding it, but because you've evolved beyond it. And that right there is the real victory. The victory of becoming. Because to become, truly become, is to no longer be seduced by the war cries of your lower self. It's to look temptation in the face and smile with indifference. It's to stare down distractions not with resistance, but with irrelevance. You've tasted the freedom that comes with focus. You felt the peace that comes from refusing to be pulled. And now, your soul won't let you go back. Not to chaos, not to noise, not to conflict disguised as conversation. You've moved past the need to be right. Now, you need to be real. Real with yourself. Real with your values. Real with your standards. Because when you're real, when you're clear, you no longer fall for counterfeit battles. You don't confuse urgency with importance. You don't mistake reaction for strength. You move differently. You decide differently. You protect your inner space like it's your only home, because it is. And here's the great irony. When you stop trying to fight everything, you finally gain control of anything. Because now, your strength is not in what you fight, it's in what you forbid. You forbid your peace to be interrupted by opinions. You forbid your day to be hijacked by nonsense. You forbid your destiny to be delayed by detours. And that kind of strength, it's untouchable because it's not dependent on anyone. It doesn't need to conquer others. It has already conquered self. And when you've conquered self, that old restless self, that reactive self, that anxious self, always looking for a war to feel worthy, when you've defeated that, you become sovereign. You become rare. You become dangerous to anything built on manipulation, fear, or control because you can no longer be baited, swayed, or shaken. You become the calm storm, the silent giant, the immovable mountain surrounded by wind and fury untouched. That's the final evolution of choosing your battles wisely. You stop seeing the world as a series of fights to be won and start seeing it as a kingdom to be stewarded. And you are the king. You are the queen. You are the one the noise cannot penetrate because you've mastered what most never will, the discipline of non-response, the strength of stillness, the sacred choice to rise without rage, to walk away with your crown intact, to stand in the center of your power and say, I no longer fight for attention. I no longer fight for approval. I no longer fight for anything that doesn't build the life I've vowed to create. That is the art. That is the code. That is the life of the uncommon. And now, that life is yours. And when that life is yours, when you walk in alignment, not aggression, when you speak with authority, not arrogance, when you move with peace, not pressure, everything around you begins to change. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. Because life doesn't give you what you scream for. It gives you what you are. And when you become disciplined, discerning, decisive, you no longer ask for the world to make room for you. It does, because your presence demands it. Not with volume, not with conflict, but with clarity. You don't chase opportunity. You attract it. You don't explain your worth. You embody it. You don't fight for significance. You live in it. And those who once tried to pull you into wars that had no meaning, they fall away. Not because you destroyed them, but because they can no longer reach you. Because peace, real peace, raises your frequency. And not everything can survive in the air you breathe now. This is elevation. This is sovereignty. This is the end of aimless battles and the beginning of intentional becoming. So build your silence. Let it stretch. Let it speak. Let it radiate more than noise ever could. Because when you walk in silence fueled by purpose, when you let your results roar while your mouth rests, when you hold your energy like a sword made of light, you become untouchable. Not in pride, in power. You own your time now. You own your choices. You own your outcomes. You own the fact that every argument you didn't entertain gave you space to plant something lasting. You own the moments you walked away from petty wars and use that energy to build peace that pays you back forever. You own the fact that you don't need to win everything because you're building something nothing can take from you. That's the reward. That's the harvest of choosing wisely. A life not defined by the battles you won, but by the ones you refused to fight. And that refusal, that sacred, disciplined no, is not weakness. It's a declaration. A declaration that your life is not up for negotiation with noise, that your time will not be auctioned to distractions, that your soul is not available to battles that feed your ego but starve your spirit. You've risen past that because you now understand that what you don't fight defines you more than what you do. You're not here to be consumed by chaos. You're here to create clarity. You're not here to prove them wrong. You're here to prove yourself right. And to do that, you must protect your energy like royalty protects a throne, because your energy is sacred. Your calling is sacred. Your destiny sacred. So guard it. With silence, with standards, with selection. Every yes is a vote. Every no, a boundary. Every battle avoided is a seed planted in your future. And your future? It's not built on impulse. It's built on intention, on presence, on priorities guarded by wisdom, not woundedness. So rise now with this truth in your bones. You are no longer a warrior of reaction. You are a guardian of purpose. You are no longer baited by nonsense. You are anchored in knowing. You no longer fight to feel alive. You build because you already are. And the world will notice. They'll notice the absence of your reaction. They'll feel the power in your pause. They'll sense the force of someone who no longer bleeds for validation, but bleeds only for legacy. You've become what most only dream of, a master of meaning. You choose what gets your mind. You choose what earns your focus. You choose what deserves your fire. And that, right there, is where your true strength lives. Not in how many wars you've won, but in how many you walked past to build a life that speaks louder than any victory ever could. Because when your life speaks louder than your words, you no longer need to fight for credibility, you embody it. You walk into rooms differently, not demanding attention, but commanding it by the weight of your peace, by the gravity of your presence. You don't need to raise your voice when your character raises the temperature. And in a world that idolizes noise, stillness becomes a form of rebellion, a quiet revolution, a force that refuses to be shaken by the trivial, distracted by the shallow, or drained by the irrelevant. You are no longer available for that life. You've paid the price. You've watched the cost of wasted wars, time you'll never get back, energy you'll never recover, moments stolen from a destiny that waited patiently while you fought battles meant for your lower self. No more. Now every move is intentional. Every yes is earned. Every battle, evaluated with ruthless discernment. Because you don't throw your fire at anything that moves. You aim it like a surgeon's blade, precise, necessary, unstoppable. And most of the time, you choose not to. Not because you're afraid to fight, but because your future is too important to keep wasting time being right. You don't need the win if the victory leads you away from who you're becoming. You don't need the last word if the conversation costs you your clarity. You don't need to engage if the energy breaks your alignment. This is what they don't teach you about strength, that sometimes it looks like walking away while your ego begs to stay. Sometimes it looks like smiling while the world misunderstands you. Sometimes it looks like building while they talk, because you've outgrown the urge to prove. That's not surrender. That's sovereignty. That's the mark of someone who knows exactly who they are and no longer borrows their worth from conflict. And the more you live like this deliberately, decisively, the more your entire life becomes a sanctuary. A temple of peace built with the bricks of battles you refuse to fight. And that temple, that's your legacy. Not loud, but lasting. Not boastful, but built to echo. Not chaotic, but calm like thunder, resting. And in the end, when the dust settles and the noise fades, the world won't remember how loud you were. They'll remember how unshakable you became. Because you, unlike most, chose your battles wisely. And in doing so, you won a life worth living. And a life worth living isn't filled with endless victories. It's filled with meaningful ones. It's not about how many you've conquered, it's about what you've conquered. Did you conquer yourself? Did you master the urge to lash out? Did you rise above the need to be liked, praised, or defended? Did you build when you could have burned? Did you lead when you could have retaliated? That's where greatness begins in the inner world. Because all external success is born from internal dominion. The man or woman who owns their thoughts, their emotions, their direction, they already own the world. They already possess the kingdom. Most chase in vain. And what makes them kings and queens is not their wealth, it's their restraint. It's what they don't say. It's what they don't chase. It's what they refuse to waste time on. You see, the more powerful you become, the more precise you must be. You don't get stronger so you can swing wildly. You get stronger so you can aim with wisdom. And that's where the rare ones rise. They rise in silence while others shout. They rise in focus while others scatter. They rise in discipline while others distract. Because they've learned the more they grow, the more costly every misstep becomes. The bigger the dream, the more precious the time. The higher the calling, the more sacred the energy. So they don't run toward every fire. They don't wage war over every slight. They don't dilute themselves for every debate. Because when you know what you're building, you don't bring chaos into the foundation. You don't argue with people who aren't architects of your future. You don't hand the pen of your life to critics who never dared to write their own. No, you guard your blueprint. You guard your atmosphere. You guard your becoming. And when the wrong fight comes to your door, you don't open it. Not because you're weak, but because you're winning somewhere else. You've got better wars to fight. The war to stay focused when the world is fractured. The war to wake up early when excuses feel justified. The war to forgive when revenge would feel better. The war to love yourself deeply when your old self still whispers you're not enough. These are the real wars. And if you're going to fight there. If you're going to bleed for something holy. Because at the end of it all, your life will not be measured by the noise you made, but by the peace you built, the lives you touched, the strength you carried when you didn't have to. The restraint you showed when no one would have blamed you for lashing out. That's legacy. That's what echoes. That's what carves your name into eternity. So keep choosing your battles with precision. Keep protecting your purpose with fierceness. Keep walking away when your ego begs to stay. And keep building, brick by brick, not a kingdom of conflict, but a fortress of focus. And one day when they ask how you did it, when they wonder how you stayed calm in the storm, how you rose while they fought, you'll look them in the eye and say, I didn't win by fighting everything. I won by choosing the few things that mattered and letting everything else pass by like wind. And that wind, let it blow. Let it carry the noise, the rumors, the judgments, the misunderstandings far away from your doorstep. You were not built to chase wind. You were built to plant roots, to grow deeper, stronger, more unshakable with every storm you refuse to enter. Because wisdom doesn't fight the wind. Wisdom learns how to bend with it and remain unbroken. And you've bent, but you never broke. You've stayed grounded when others lost themselves in the moment. You've stayed focused when others scattered into every distraction. You've stayed whole, not because it was easy, but because you chose peace over pride. And in that choice, again and again, you became rare. You became the lighthouse. You became the one others look to when the waves rise and the night gets long. Because real power isn't loud. It doesn't stomp. It doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. Real power is a presence built through years of discipline, through unseen decisions, through relentless pruning of everything that doesn't serve your highest calling. And if that means walking alone sometimes, so be it, because clarity will often isolate you. But what you build in that solitude, the habits, the mindset, the emotional intelligence, the internal resolve, that becomes your empire, not made of brick and gold, but of something far more unbreakable. Alignment. Alignment between who you say you are and how you actually live. Alignment between your energy and your vision. Alignment between your inner world and your outer reality. And when you live in alignment, You don't need to fight for peace. You radiate it. You become it. And the world takes notice. They don't always understand you, but they respect you. They feel something different about you. Because while everyone else is exhausted from their self-inflicted wars, you are rested, rooted, and ready. Ready to lead. Ready to serve. Ready to build the uncommon. Not just a life of success, but a life of substance. And you did it not by swinging at everything that moved, but by moving only when it mattered. You conserved your fire. You stored your power. You held the line. You stayed true to your path, even when the world called you to veer off course. And now you've arrived at a truth most never find. The strongest are not those who fight the most, but those who fight the least and win the most, because they choose their battles wisely, relentlessly, fearlessly. And in that choosing, they build a life that can't be touched. Success isn't something you stumble into. It isn't given. It's not passed down. It's not luck, chance, or magic. It's earned, built from the inside out, with intention, discipline, and unwavering principle. True success doesn't show up for the impatient or the entitled. It arrives for those who become worthy of it. You want real success? Then understand this. It's not about chasing the world. It's about becoming someone the world chases. And that journey begins with mastering the fundamentals, not tricks, not hacks, not shortcuts, but eternal truths that never stop working. The first, mindset. Because before you ever change your life, you must change your thoughts. Every action you take or don't take is born from your belief system. If your mind is filled with fear, you will hesitate. If it's filled with doubt, you will sabotage. But if it's filled with vision, clarity, courage, you become dangerous. You walk differently. You speak differently. You see opportunities others miss. You don't beg life for permission. You build momentum from the inside out. Because success doesn't start with doing, it starts with believing. And belief isn't some empty mantra. Belief is a discipline. It's built by guarding your thoughts, shaping your inner dialogue, and feeding your mind with the truths that make you strong, focused, and unshakable. The second fundamental, clarity. Most people are not failing, they're foggy. They're busy, but aimless. Productive, but misaligned. You cannot hit a target you can't see. And you cannot grow toward a future you haven't defined. Clarity isn't a feeling, it's a decision. Who do you want to become? What do you want to build? What matters to you so deeply that you're willing to suffer for it? That's clarity. It eliminates distraction. It kills comparison. It gives your energy a purpose, your schedule a reason, your sacrifices a direction, and with that direction, you become unstoppable. Third, vision. Success is a future born in the imagination of the present. If you can't see it, you'll never seize it. Vision is your internal compass. It guides your yes, protects your no, and fuels you when nothing seems to be working. But vision isn't just daydreaming. Vision is vivid, specific, real. It's the ability to close your eyes and see the life you are building with your choices. Not your wishes, not your emotions, your choices. Vision pulls you forward when motivation dies. Vision makes your sacrifices sacred. Vision turns discipline from something heavy into something holy. Next comes purpose. Because without purpose, success is shallow. It becomes numbers, status, a game of appearances. But with purpose, everything you do becomes charged. You stop just working for money, you start building meaning. You don't just rise for applause, you rise to contribute. Purpose gives you power when pressure hits. It turns fatigue into focus. It turns obstacles into teachers. It transforms your story into fuel. And when your purpose is clear, you begin to attract others not because of what you have, but because of who you are becoming. And when you live with purpose, you ignite the fifth fundamental, discipline. Because dreams without discipline are just illusions. Talk without execution is just noise. Potential without structure is just wasted energy. Discipline is what separates the ones who hope from the ones who build. It's not flashy, it's not glamorous, it's not viral, but it's everything. It's the quiet contract you sign with yourself in the dark, the one that says, I will do what is required. Long after the mood I made the commitment in is gone. Discipline is what wakes you up before the world. It's what keeps you grounded when life shakes. It's what silences your excuses and turns intentions into reality. And here's the truth. You don't need more motivation. You need better habits. You need systems so clear, routines so automatic, and standards so non-negotiable that success becomes a byproduct of how you live, not a target you chase. The sixth, action. Because nothing changes until you move. Knowledge is not power applied. Knowledge is. You can read every book, take every course, attend every seminar, and still stay stuck if you don't move your feet. Action is the cure for fear. It is the antidote to confusion. It's the proof that you believe in what you say. Most people wait for clarity before they act, but the truth is clarity is found in motion. The doing is what refines the direction. You don't figure it all out before you start. You figure it out by starting. Action builds confidence. Action builds resilience. Action turns potential into performance. The world doesn't reward ideas, it rewards execution. So while others plan and pause and prepare forever, you must move with urgency. Because every moment you wait, someone else is out there building what you were born to do. Then comes the seventh, gratitude. Because gratitude isn't weakness. It's amplification. It turns pressure into perspective. It grounds your ambition in appreciation. It keeps you from becoming a prisoner of progress. Because without gratitude, success will always feel empty. You'll climb the ladder, hit the number, win the trophy, and still feel hollow. But when you lead with gratitude, everything changes. You start seeing lessons in the losses. You start celebrating progress, not just perfection. You stop needing more to feel like enough. And here's the paradox. Grateful people attract more abundance not because they chase it, but because they honor what they already have. Gratitude multiplies your joy. It multiplies your peace. And in a world addicted to more, you become someone who wins from a place of enoughness, and that's power. And now we arrive at the eighth fundamental, the one that separates those who plateau from those who transcend adaptability. Because nothing stays the same. The market changes. The culture shifts. The rules evolve. And if you don't adapt, you don't survive. You become a monument to what used to work. Adaptability isn't about reacting. It's about responding with intelligence. It's about letting go of ego, of comfort, of the way things have always been. It's about updating your strategies without abandoning your values. The adaptable win not because they're the fastest, but because they're the most fluid. They don't resist change. They dance with it. They use pressure as information, failure as feedback, chaos as a compass. And every time the world throws a new challenge, they lean in and ask, what is this trying to teach me that success never could? Because true success isn't rigid. It's resilient. It moves, bends, adjusts, but never breaks. And finally, the ninth, the crown of all foundations, lifelong learning. Because no matter how high you climb, there is always another level. And those who stop learning, stop growing. Those who stop growing start dying. Success doesn't belong to those who know everything. It belongs to those who remain teachable. The greatest leaders are also the greatest students. The hungriest minds create the richest lives. Because learning isn't a phase. It's not something you do when you feel behind. It's something you do because you want to stay ahead. It's a commitment to humility, a devotion to curiosity, a refusal to let your past wins lull you into present ignorance. You don't read books to sound smart, you read to sharpen your edge. You don't seek mentors because you're weak. You seek them because you know you can be stronger. Every insight you collect becomes another tool, another angle, another way to expand your thinking, deepen your wisdom, and multiply your impact. And when these 9 foundations are in place, when your mindset is mastered, your belief is built, your clarity is non-negotiable, your vision is vivid, your purpose is burning, Your discipline is dialed in. Your action is relentless. Your gratitude is rooted. Your adaptability is alive, and your learning is unending. Then success is no longer a mystery. It's no longer a question of if. It becomes inevitable. Not because the world suddenly made it easier, but because you became someone who doesn't need the world to make it easier. You became someone who creates their own momentum, their own clarity, their own breakthroughs. You became someone who didn't wait for success. You built the foundation that made success chase you. And that is true power. That is true success. And it's yours the moment you decide to live these fundamentals daily, fully, and without excuse.